Hello, welcome to North London Is. I'm Julian Reback, and as usual, I'm doing this podcast with my co-host, Perry Young. We've had a bit of a couple of days, really, with both teams involved in VAR controversies, which is happening most weekends. But what I can promise you on today's episode is there will be no time wasted whatsoever. So as it's fresh in our minds, and I've just managed to wake Perry up from watching Arsenal grind out a boring 1-0 victory at Goodison, something they're not used to winning up there over the past few years. Perry, you awake? How are you?
Very good. Very, very good. Very clinical, solid. Don't think Everton... Did they have a shot on? I don't think Raya had to make.
I've got to be honest. I mean, you deserve to win, no doubt about that.
They were shocking. They
were shocking. And I think, and I'm not just saying this, I saw them a bit against Wolves. They lost at home against Wolves. They lost at home against Fulham. They've lost at home against you. They got walloped 4-0 against Villa. They've only scored twice all season. I'll be amazed if they don't go down.
It's funny because I don't think they will. I don't think they will go down. I think Luton, Sheffield United, basically the teams that Spurs have played so far this season, Sheffield United, Burnley. No, all joking aside, I think Sean Dyche, listen, although they were shocking, again, the Martinelli goal, is it a goal? I think it is a goal, but then I'm a typical Arsenal fan. Everton fans.
I actually thought it was a goal as well, I've got to be honest.
I think it's a goal. So what happened in that moment is, you've got Martinelli scoring. We go 1-0 up after 10, 15 minutes. We were controlling the game. And then all of a sudden, and this is why we're still not quite Manchester City or maybe even Liverpool yet, is you've got Martinelli scoring. We think we've gone 1-0 up away at Liverpool. Horrific place for us to go. We just don't play well there. And then Martinelli gets injured. So he has to bring on Trossard, who I have to say, grew into the game, because in the first half I thought he was terrible. In the second half, obviously, he scored a great goal. But, the thing is that we are still, with Declan Rice coming into the team and Nketiah now coming into the team more than Jesus, and I think he's got to be playing Jesus, although I didn't think Jesus played well at all when he came on. No. We're struggling to find a rhythm that we had at the beginning of the last season. However, what I liked about today is I thought our spine defensively was very good. I mean, like you said, they're struggling for goals. I mean, that guy that they bought, is it Beto, whatever his name is? Yeah, I mean, look, he's a bit better than who was the guy that used to play for Brighton? I can't even remember his name. And he went.
Oh, Malpe.
Yeah, Neil Malpe. Listen, Calvert-Lewin will make a difference if he's fit. But Arsenal were very 6 to 7 out of 10. Declan Rice was
4 shots on target.
Yeah. I mean, Rice, what I didn't like about us is that after we scored, we kind of sat back. But that's his way. He's a little bit George Graham-y, Arteta. We kind of, what we've got as the actual... Sorry, my son is at the side of me trying to take the mickey. No, you don't come on. No.
Awesome.
No, we looked good today defensively, and I felt in the midfield we didn't give them up, because they're quite strong in midfield. Not very good, but they're strong.
Yeah.
Up front, they were, terrible.
What did you think about Raya starting?
He's going to be his number one, isn't he? I actually like Ramsdale. I think Ramsdale and Raya are two of the best goalkeepers in the Premiership. So I'm happy with either. He looked quite cool, didn't he? He looked quite calm, making a debut.
I actually think he's the better keeper out of the two.
Yeah, and I think Arteta wants him, and I think that was a massive result for us today. Was it a good performance? Not really. But was it a terrible performance? No. We had a couple of other chances that we could have done better. Vieira, who played instead of Havertz, he was all right. He's not Thomas Partey.
He got into a couple of good positions, but his shooting was wayward, I thought.
He's not Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey should be playing there with Declan Rice and Odegaard in front of them. Odegaard was all right. Saka was all right. They had 3 players on Saka, I counted at one time. 3 players.
Were you pleased to see Havertz not start?
Yeah. I think Havertz didn't deserve to start. I think Vieira probably deserved to start. So look, it's 5 games played. We've been the better team in every game we've played. We haven't had the hardest start, but for today was probably psychologically our hardest game with United at home, because last year we lost that. So today we won it. Last year, I think Everton really deserved to batter us. Not deserved to batter us. They did batter us. They could have won 2-3-0. I do
think, I'm not clutching at straws, but I do think Goodison at night is a much harder place.
Funny, a friend of mine said to me, that you're 100% right. He said, if this game was tomorrow night, Monday night, he said, under the lights, he said it would have been even more.
It's a harder game, 100%.
I do want to talk about VAR very quickly on this game, because I think it is a penalty. I think it is a goal because it comes off. I know that I've watched it with quite a few people here, and they said, but it was accidentally came off their player. But I'm sorry, it still came off the player. And also, why wasn't Mikalenko booked in the first half for the foul? I know that's not VAR on Saka, because he was superb today, Mikalenko, for Everton. He saved a couple of
blocks in, didn't he?
He was really good. But again, the referee was trying to. They're letting a lot go this year, the refs. A lot. They really are. So, listen, overall, I think we played well. I think we played well enough. We certainly deserved to win the game. I mean, if they had won it, it would have been an absolute criminal. But we won it. And, we didn't need any last-minute, 12-minute injury time malarkey like you did yesterday. Tell me, what is it like to win the Champions League yesterday? Because,
from what I've seen, I remember you celebrate, well, not you personally, Arsenal fans celebrating. I think it was a 2-2 draw at home to Palace. And I think last year you got last-minute winners against, was it Fulham?
Yes, and we celebrated.
And you know what? I'm not one of these police celebrators on Twitter. Good. You can't celebrate. I get it. It's only Sheffield United. But I've got to be honest, right? We didn't play that badly yesterday. We weren't clinical. We were lacking a bit in the final third. But when you're 1-0 down after 98 minutes and your next 2 games are Arsenal and Liverpool, it puts a lot of pressure on those 2 games. So the relief, Jake said to me halfway through the second half, do you think we'll do it? And I said, yeah, because I thought if we got 1 goal, we would get 2.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't think we'd leave it as late as we did. But, going back to needing 12 minutes, I mean, after the 20th minute, their keeper was wasting time. And I don't know, and it's not just the Spurs Sheffield United game. I've seen this in a lot of games that aren't even Spurs. Keepers waste a lot of time. And more often than not, the ref doesn't book the keeper for time wasting until the 85th minute. It's irrelevant. Yeah. It doesn't really matter.
I've seen it at Arsenal for 50 years.
And what made yesterday different is the keeper handballed the ball outside the penalty box. So he got booked for that. That could have been his second yellow and he would have been off. So the ridiculous thing is we only had 3 minutes of injury time in the first half. And there should have been a lot more than that. I didn't think there was going to be as long as 12, but Ange said when he made the substitutions and he waited until the 80th minute, he thought there was going to be at least 10 minutes because, Sheffield United just broke up play,
So it would have finished 1-1.
And, karma came back to haunt them. What I would say, and, I totally disagree with, obviously, any racism. Spurs have come out strongly today. Apparently, after the game, there's been a lot of racist tweets against the Sheffield United player, the keeper. There's no need for that. It's a game of football.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and both Sheffield United and Spurs have come out strongly with statements. And if they find the people that done it, they should be banned for life. I'm a Spurs supporter, but you can't have that. It's a game of football.
No,
Yes,
no,
he was
listen,
annoying during the 90, 100 minutes, doing what he did, but you don't need to resort to those levels.
I didn't know anything about that. What did you think about what their manager was saying after the game? Well, obviously, you're not going to agree with him.
Well, I agree with certain aspects. I mean, I don't think, if it's true, if that's what their player said to the ref to get sent off, I mean, it is irrelevant because it was the.
But can I ask you one thing, right? Can I ask you one thing? And this is where I disagreed with him. He was saying that we're playing from the back and Tottenham were pressing us. So we had to take our time. The goalkeeper had to take his time.
Yeah, but the goalkeeper's meant to have 6 seconds, I think.
Hold on. So if he's meant to take his time, I'm sorry, that's your fault, Sheffield United, because Tottenham are pressing you well. And so you've got to release the ball. You've got to release the ball. So that isn't even a discussion. But where I really disagree with is that he said that apparently the referee said to him, well, you've got to hit it long then. You've got to hit the ball long. That's terrible if he said that. It is diabolical if the referee.
Well, it's not for the ref to give any sort of advice to a football Premier League manager how to play the game. But, we don't know if he did say that. I thought, if he did say what he said to the ref to get sent off, I thought that was harsh. But, again, I don't know if you've seen the foul on Maddison in the first half.
That should have been a penalty.
Why they didn't even ask him to go and have a look at it,
Yeah, that should have been a penalty. But what about, I didn't see it, but apparently, was it Van de Ven or Romero elbowed the striker, McBurney? He said after the game, I didn't see it. I haven't seen it. I've seen 10 minutes, 5-minute clip.
Listen, I've seen the highlights on Sky. I saw Match of the Day. I didn't see that highlight. I didn't see it on.
I didn't see it. But how did Tottenham play?
I thought we were okay. It certainly wasn't our best performance of the season. I thought we looked. I thought Basuma had another phenomenal game. Udogie looks very good. I thought Banda, our defence looks okay. I mean, it was totally against the run of play that they scored in the, I think, 73rd minute. I thought Son was poor. And I've got a slight worry. I know he scored a hat-trick last week, and you think he's going to go on. But
he did it last year.
He's not a number 9, and he's got to grow into that position. I was really pleased.
Who will he play next week? Who will he play up front next week?
He'll play Son up front. I was really pleased with Richarlison. He's obviously had a couple of personal issues. He came out, a bit of a cry for help during the week, and I think to come on, equalise, get an important goal, which that was, and then have an assist for the winner. Hopefully that will give him confidence. But
hopefully not.
There's still a few areas of concern. I don't think we're gelling totally up front. I know we hit Burnley for 5, but you can't always wait to the 98th minute and 100th minute to get your goals. So we're not going to have against Arsenal.
You had the most clinical striker in. You had the most clinical strike. You had the most clinical striker in Europe for the last 6 years. So it's going to be harder.
It's beyond any Spurs supporter and most non-Spurs supporters. A day before the season start, selling our greatest ever player, / goal scorer, to have 13 points from a possible 15. But it's not just the points, because we started well. Under Nuno, we got 3 wins out of 3 1-0s. But the football was awful. We are playing a very attractive football, which, we'll talk about next week's little game shortly. But, that does worry me, whether or not he's going to still be as open. And I think he will. I don't think
listen, the stars are the stars have aligned for Spurs at the moment. They have aligned for you. I take the mickey about the games, and like you say, 38 games, we all play them, but you've managed to play 3 away games. Brentford's hard, but people playing Brentford now without Tony. You again played them without their captain Ben Mee. Who's a good player. We'll come on to him, but that Rico Henry, I think, got badly injured yesterday. I don't know what the situation is. But if you should be beating Sheffield United, Burnley, and Bournemouth. Last year, Conte, I know at home you lost to Bournemouth, but you did beat Bournemouth away, didn't you, last year? You were 2-0 down. Sheffield United, you've got to be beating them.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think the one result that we've both had, the Man United game, they are shocking. They are shocking. And actually, they played better against us than they did against you. They played better. Although they had more chances against you in the first 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And Vicario made a couple of good saves. But no, listen, hats off to Postecoglou. I saw his interview midweek. I thought it was a very good interview about, is there pressure, mental health, honeymoon period and all that. He's coming across. His big thing.
Yeah,
he does come across well. There's no question about that at the moment. But his big thing is going to be once when you do draw a game, lose a game that you shouldn't lose. And the other thing is if you start getting a few injuries, which, again, it looks like we are going to go into the North London derby without a minimum of 3 first-team players. I know you're going to say Bentancur's out, but you've been raving about Sarr. So, Martinelli, what a goal he scored today. He took that like Thierry Henry. I really hope he's okay. I know you don't, but, he came out afterwards and he was on the pitch. So I hope he's okay. I think it will be fascinating to see the way Spurs play. We know how Arsenal are going to play. We know how Arsenal are going to play next week. I think if you come and play, I do think we'll beat you. I think if you come and have a plan, I'm nervous. And I'm sure you will have a plan. And the midfield battle is going to be interesting. Very interesting.
It's not so much the midfield battle. What I'm worried about is obviously Saka against Udogie, because I think Udogie is a brilliant player. He's brilliant, though, going forward. I think.
Yeah, and is he a bit,
Is he going to be tested defending?
And if Martinelli is fit,
Martinelli against Porro, and Porro's also suspect at defending. Great going forward. Yeah. And it'd be interesting. I mean, Emerson is the better defender out of the two.
He still makes mistakes.
But it's whether or not he will sort of change that and put Emerson
if
in.
Trossard plays, and we've got Eindhoven, by the way, on Wednesday. If Trossard plays, he'll play Porro, definitely. If Martinelli plays, he will probably play Emerson. I think you're right. But he's definitely going to play Bissouma, Sarr and Maddison. And up front,
the midfield picks itself. We haven't got a big enough squad I think good cameo yesterday from Johnson, but I don't think at the moment he dislodges Kulu. I think Kulu had a very good second half. He grew into the game, not just his goal, but he was. Listen, we were going to we needed a goal in the second half, so we were.
Are you happy? Are you happy with a draw next week?
I would be delighted with a draw. I'd be delighted with a draw. I don't think Ange will set them up like that. I think Ange and the players will be more confident than probably any Spurs supporter.
This is my whole thing. This is where I'm going to get a bit bantery with you. I just am so annoyed that you're going into the game so confident because of. And you have played well. I'm not saying you haven't played well. I didn't watch any of yesterday's game, but I watched you against Burnley. I watched you against Brentford. I definitely watched a lot of you against United. And it annoys me that the confidence you've got going into that game, because even though last year, I think when we walloped you 3-0, you'd gone into that game, I think, unbeaten as well. But there was something you weren't quite.
The vibes weren't. The vibes weren't there. I mean, you did.
You had Harry Kane.
Yeah.
And that's why, so I'm fascinated to see who will pick as well, because obviously we got Eindhoven on Wednesday. And
unusual event, in North London with Arsenal
very, very
playing a Champions League match. But it's a Champions League match in name, but in reality it's the sort of Europa League.
Well, listen, Dutch champions. They've won the Champions League before, unlike both of us. It's good that we are now back where we belong, Champions League football. You've obviously got a game on, is it Thursday? Are you
No, we've got a free week where we'll have our feet up nice, relaxing week in preparation for, and I hate people who say North London derby because it's the derby. You're not North London. You're from South London. Let's never forget that. Let's never forget your roots. It's important.
But at least we're from London, because I think if you look up, Haringey was not even in London until 1960.
Oh, dear.
Listen. I'm glad that you've admitted you've got no game in midweek, because that is another.
We haven't. I'd be lying if I said we did.
Yeah, and that's another advantage. We're already 3 first teamers out, possibly even 4. You've got to think you've got to win it, haven't you? You've got to win it next week if you're Spurs.
Listen, you always want to win a derby. I wouldn't say it's a freebie, but apart from last year, what mainly happens is you win the home games and we win our home games.
Do you think? Would you take 2 draws in your next 2 games?
It's funny you say that. I was talking to the boys on the way back from the game yesterday, and we all said how many points from the next 2 games. And being a Spurs supporter, we all said 2 points would be great.
Listen, we're not going to win the league.
We're not. Yeah. And I think the good thing is having 13 points at this stage after only 5 games. That's why yesterday, had we lost, would have been real pressure, because we've got 2 hard games. It gives us a little leeway if we drop points over the next 2 games. You never want to lose a North London derby, let's be honest, right?
No.
However, but I just want to go there next week and give it a go. And I think we will under Ange. Last few matches at the Emirates, we've rolled over.
You've played the last 2 or 3 games at the Emirates. You've played Conte-style football, and Mourinho-style football, where you've sat back, you've tried to hit us on the break. I remember that game a few years ago where Son was got a penalty, came down one wing. I think it could be an unbelievable game if you come at us.
Listen, I think we could score, if we go for it. I'm also worried at the back, because
you're going to be tested.
It's going to be our biggest test of the season by far. I totally agree with that. And then obviously the week after, Liverpool at home, and we'll talk about the other fixtures this weekend. They look good, Liverpool. They look good.
Well, so it's funny you should say that, because I was thinking before the the podcast, this whole thing in the summer, when I was talking to a lot of my friends and my boys, and we were saying, look, we all know Chelsea are going to be better. We all know Manchester United are going to be better. We all know Newcastle are going to be better. Meanwhile, I watched Chelsea today. They were shocking. I watched Manchester United yesterday. Yeah. They haven't been good. And Newcastle, a little bit lucky with the penalty yesterday. Little bit lucky. I'm not sure. So Brighton are the team. I mean, they are outstanding. Their football, considering they didn't even play Evan Ferguson yesterday, they got rid of Caicedo. Solly March didn't start for them yesterday. I can't remember the guy that Encino's out for them. I mean, what a job he is doing, Roberto De Zerbi.
I mean, he's a great manager, don't get me wrong, but I think the way Brighton are run off the pitch, from the top down, Tony Bloom, they've got Barber, who used to be at Spurs. Listen, it's all down to recruitment, let's be honest. And their recruitment has been phenomenal over the last
recruitment has been phenomenal, but the style of football that they play is also phenomenal. And let me tell you, if it doesn't work out for Arteta or Postecoglou, I would imagine both boards will be going for them. But going back to your point about Liverpool, I watched the first half, and Wolves should have been 2-3-0 up.
Yeah,
they should have been 2-3-0. And in the second half, what options he's got? He brings on Diaz, who I think is a superb player.
Yeah,
he brings on Núñez. He didn't have Trent yesterday. Will he be back for your game?
I'm sure he will be. I think he was a slight doubt for yesterday, which our game's still another 2 weeks away.
Their squad it's quite good. You've got to say it. That guy. The
good thing is, I think they play. They're in Europa, aren't they? So they play Thursday. I think they've got 3 games, and we've got the 1 game before we play play them.
Exactly.
But
so it's going to be interesting. He'll rest players.
I'm sure. I mean,
that guy, the Hungarian captain that they've got, I won't even try and pronounce.
No, I'm not going to pronounce it.
Or whatever.
Yeah,
superb. That was.
Do you think Ten Hag is under pressure at United?
They're going to lose to Bayern in midweek, aren't they? I mean, they've got Burnley on Saturday night. If they lose both those games, he's going to be under enormous pressure. Listen, he's been very unlucky. He's got Anthony, who's now out because he's apparently done something naughty. Sancho's out because he's been naughty. Varane's out because he's always injured. Luke Shaw's out because he's always injured. He's been a bit unlucky, but unfortunately, it's a luck counts for a lot, and I think he's going to be under an enormous amount of pressure. Who they're going to get, I don't know. If I was Manchester United, I'd go and get Roberto De Zerbi, but I wouldn't imagine they've got any chance of getting him this season. I honestly think that for certain spells of the game against us, they were okay, but it wasn't good enough. And
their midfield's looking old now, isn't it? With Casemiro and Eriksen.
They've got
Casemiro looks 10 years older than he did last season.
But I'm not even a big fan of Mason Mount, but he has been a miss as well. So they're missing 4 or 5 big players. And let me tell you, if we didn't have Saka or Martinelli, and we didn't have, I don't know, Saliba, and we were missing or whatever, like you said to me, though, you've got to deal with it. You know, you have to deal with these injuries. And I go mental every time a player goes off and my kids start laughing at me. But the thing is, I can't take it with the injuries, but you have to take it. So I think he's under pressure. I think Klopp's got a little glint in his eye. I think he's thinking we're going to challenge City, but they had 29 shots away from home against unbeaten West Ham without De Bruyne. Okay, without the player they signed from, it's going to take a lot for somebody to stop them. You know, I mean, their fixtures have been.
Jake turned around to me at Spurs. He said, "West Ham are winning," and my initial reaction was, "Oh dear." He goes, "What's the matter with you? It's good for us." But that's you getting overexcited. I think. You know, I've been here before with Spurs. Listen, we've started well, but it's 5 games. It's a 38-game season. As you say, you know, we are going to have blips. And I think Ange knows we're going to have blips. It's how we recover from those blips.
The only thing that's going to stop City is if they have what Liverpool had last season and a couple of seasons before, a catalogue like Haaland's out for months, De Bruyne's out for months, Stones and Diaz are out for months, but they've scored. I mean, that Doku, I don't know if you've seen his goal.
Yes.
I mean, what a goal. I mean, you know, that's the sort of thing, you know. But, you know, where we are, we've played 5, won 4. We've been the best team in each of the games. We haven't been clinical. That is a worry for us next week against you. We've got to be clinical as well. The midfield battle is going to be interesting. I think it'll be a great game. I think if you come and attack us like Ange says he's going to.
Well, I think also what I hope works in our favour. I think how we won yesterday, irrespective if it's Sheffield United, it's much better to win a game like that, 2 goals in the last minute, than have a mundane 3-0 win. I think the confidence, and the momentum, you know, I mean, when we scored the second goal, I mean, I was grabbed by the guy who's standing behind me. Admittedly, he grabbed me a little bit too tight for my liking, but it was just limbs everywhere.
Well, I heard some lovely stories yesterday about friends of mine who haven't had a great time recently, and it was some great emotional moments yesterday.
I think it's, you know, listen, as I said earlier, I'm not a police celebrator. You know, I think it's great. You know, if people can't celebrate goals, irrespective.
No, but that's my point. When exactly, but what you've been listening to on Twitter, reading on Twitter, that's my point. When Arsenal did what they did after the Bournemouth game, and when we went mental, football for me is about those moments. Whether you're with your boys, whether you're with your friends, it's last minute goals. Like, I hate to say it, one of the worst moments of my life Lucas Moura. But going back years and years when Andy Linegan rose in the 93 Cup final in the last second and we won the Cup, those moments are special. You know, for
Wilson
me.
against Leicester.
Yeah. Well, you did it against, but also you had the Leicester result 2 seasons ago under Conte.
When I was lucky enough to be there as well.
Yeah. So that, for me,
it just
celebration, please. Listen, I made a point to a few Man City and Liverpool and Man United fans. When that Cole Palmer scored in the Charity Shield against us a couple of months ago, Guardiola ran onto the pitch.
Yeah.
He jumped up. The City fans will go, that's the Charity Shield. I've got a Liverpool friend of mine who takes the mickey every.
You always say it's a major trophy.
Well, I do. It's a trophy, you know. But that's what it's about. If we won the Carabao Cup this year, you watch Manchester City; they go mental when they win the Carabao Cup. Football is about trophies, 1, enjoying it 2, and having those special bonds. You know, with your children, with your friends, with your family. That's what it's all about. People should not be killing the joy out of the game.
No, I totally agree.
And as much as I hated it yesterday, and you had Tim Sherwood on bloody Sky Sports, and they went to him, and it was 1-0 to Sheffield United, and they go, Tim, what's happening? There's a few minutes to go, and he went, oh yeah, Richarlison's just scored. And he's a Tottenham fan, and I just turned the TV off. And I turned the TV off, and I just thought, oh God. And then I saw my phone 3 minutes later, and they went, my cousin went, don't you just hate them? But I know how you feel.
Yeah.
I know how you felt last year when we scored those goals against Bournemouth. But listen, next week,
it's going to be a firecracker of a podcast, one way or the other.
We've obviously got our, because that's what happens in midweek. We've obviously got our proper, you know, the proper Champions League game. And I know you're going to have your feet up watching that. And, you know, so we've got to get through that first, because you've got to win your home games in the Champions League. Because actually, whatever anybody says, we have got an okay group, but actually away from home against.
You couldn't have picked the 3 teams any easier.
Do you know that Arsenal are 3rd/4th favourites for the Champions League?
Well, probably because of your spending in the summer.
No, it's not. It's because Saka and Martinelli, who a combined spend of 6 million, have become these special players. That's why it's amazing. It's Manchester City, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and Arsenal are 4th favourites. I couldn't believe that when I read that. Well, so we're going to get through that. Then we're going to play you, and it's going to be interesting. And I hope we smash you. We'll do predictions in a minute. Manchester City, we've already talked about. Again, and it's like you and them, just easy game after easy game. They've got Nottingham Forest at home next week. I mean, when are they?
I wouldn't say West Ham away is the easiest of games.
No, it's not. You know, it's a tricky game. And also, they were playing with confidence, West Ham.
Yeah.
By the way, great goal from Ward-Prowse.
Yes, he's on fire since he's gone there.
Great goal.
He's playing very well. That signing's gone under the radar, I feel.
Yeah, that's a good signing. After Havertz and Maddison, probably the 2 best signings so far.
I think Maddison's proved, you know, for 40 million, which was really only 30 because we gave them Winks for 10.
Maddison's been a superb signing, but I got to tell you, again, I know that it was 100 million. I just love him, Declan Rice. I just watched him today, and he's just
great player, but very so far against the opposition that you've also had. You know, he's
got to do it next week.
The odds for him, and you know, let's see. You know, he scored 1 goal.
Our next 2 games are Tottenham Hotspur at home, then we got Bournemouth away, and then we've got. I'm talking about the league games, and then we got Manchester City at home.
Yeah.
So if we can win the
next, we've got a great podcast coming up next week. It should
lots of fans on Twitter coming up.
I'm sure. But I'd just like to remind everyone we are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and also soon we're going to be on YouTube.
And also we've got some good guests coming up soon.
Definitely. And also, you know, what's really nice is, you know, last week was our most listened to podcast with regards to the amount of downloads that we had. So that's really nice. Please keep telling friends and family to subscribe, download, listen to us. We're not going anywhere. We're here every week. And I just, you know, to sum it up, sometimes it's good to leave things to the last minute. Goodbye.